The story of Rosemary did not begin with beauty, nor with love, nor with the glowing admiration the world often gifts to the blessed and the favored. It began with a house full of shadows and a silence that held wounds. A house where grief had shaped the walls, and jealousy breathed quietly between the cracks. Rosemary was the youngest of 3 daughters, Cynthia, Grace, and finally Rosemary, the child who arrived like a soft whisper after a raging storm. Their mother, Mrs. Evelyn Edward, was once the warmth of the family, a woman whose arms were the safest place each of her daughters had known. But she died before Rosemary turned 6, leaving behind a husband who never recovered and daughters who grew into women without the softness of maternal hands guiding them. Mr. Edward tried, at least at the beginning. He tried to cook, to braid their hair, to remember to kiss them on their foreheads before school. But grief does not negotiate. It consumes, reshapes, and sometimes leaves a person hollowed. Within a year, even the attempt stopped. The house grew cold, and silence became their daily companion. Cynthia, the oldest, was 12 when their mother died. She understood enough to cry in secret. Grace, who was 9, understood halfway, old enough to feel the pain, young enough to feel confused by it. Rosemary, barely 6, understood nothing. But grief has its language, and even a child can inhale it deeply. Years passed and the sisters changed. But Rosemary changed the most. By the time she turned 15, it was as though God had carved her with too much glory. Skin warm and golden like dawn, eyes soft and deep like still water, and hair that moved like it was made of silk. But it was her heart, gentle, shy, almost painfully kind, that made her beauty feel like sunlight. The kind of beauty that wasn't loud, yet impossible to ignore. Her father saw this beauty and frowned. Her sisters saw it and stiffened. Neighbors saw it and whispered. And the young men who passed their gate saw it and slowed their steps. It began slowly. The quiet resentment, the sidelong stares, the way Grace would roll her eyes and mutter beneath her breath, the way Cynthia would scoff when someone complimented Rosemary, the way Mr. Edward would tighten his jaw whenever visitors showed interest in Rosemary, even when the girl herself shrank shyly behind the door. She hadn't asked for it. She hadn't tried to be more than she was. But beauty has a way of being blamed, even when it is innocent. And so Rosemary learned to walk lightly, speak softly, and shrink herself into spaces where her glow wouldn't bother anyone. But the world never stops looking at beauty. And that was where the trouble began. The Edward family lived in a small, 3-bedroom bungalow at the end of Hugo Street, a street where gossip grew faster than grass. The house was clean on the outside but quiet on the inside. Too quiet. The kind of silence that does not come from peace, but from avoidance. Every morning, Rosemary woke before everyone else. She swept the compound, fetched water from the backyard tank, and started breakfast. It was not because she was the youngest. It was because she had learned early that doing more made her less noticeable, less burdensome, less likely to be accused. And so she worked. She worked until her palms hurt and her feet ached and her eyes stung with tears she never let fall. Rosemary, the tea is too hot. Rosemary, you ironed this skirt badly. Why are you walking like that? Trying to get attention? Your hair is too out. Go and pack it. Must you be showing yourself? They didn't always shout. Sometimes the words were soft. But soft insults are sharper than loud ones. They pierce without warning. Rosemary always bowed her head. I'm sorry. She said it so much it became her name. Cynthia, at 22, was everything a first daughter was expected to be: organized, stern, and responsible. But beneath that exterior was a quiet bitterness she rarely acknowledged. She was beautiful in her own right, but beside Rosemary, she felt dimmer, overshadowed. And the worst part was that Rosemary didn't even try. That made it worse. Grace, 19, was fiery, sharp-tongued, loud, and often impatient. She believed life owed her a certain level of attention, but the world seemed to turn faster whenever Rosemary walked by, leaving Grace behind with clenched fists and a forced smile. It wasn't that they hated Rosemary completely. They loved her. She was their sister. But their love was clouded, stained, tangled with something darker. Resentment, fear, comparison, insecurity, and the belief that beauty was a privilege Rosemary had no right to possess so effortlessly. The first suitor who came for Rosemary arrived when she was 18. He was a polite young man from their church, well-mannered, well-spoken, and clearly smitten from the moment he saw her. Rosemary had noticed him staring during choir practice, but she had looked away quickly, her heart pounding. She didn't know what to do with attention. It confused her, embarrassed her. She didn't want anyone to notice her, not when noticing her caused so much trouble at home. He came on a Saturday, knocked on the door, greeted politely, asked for Mr. Edward. "Sir, I came to speak about your daughter." Mr. Edward had raised his eyebrows expectantly. "Which one? Cynthia?" "No, sir." "Grace?" "No, sir." Then the young man swallowed, cleared his throat, and whispered, "Rosemary." Something inside the house shifted. The air thickened. The silence curled like a fist. Cynthia froze. Grace dropped the cup she was washing. And Mr. Edward... Oh, Mr. Edward's jaw tightened so sharply the veins in his neck stood out. "Young man," he said stiffly, "go home. My daughter is too young. And next time, if you must come, don't come for that one. That one." He didn't even call her name. The young man apologized and left in humiliation. His shoulders sagged. When Rosemary came out from her room, she found her father staring at her as if she had done something terrible. Her sisters stood beside him, their arms folded. Rosemary trembled. "Papa, did I do something? Why won't they come for Cynthia?" he demanded. "Why won't they come for Grace? Why is it always you?" I don't know," she whispered. "You do know," Grace snapped. "You like attention. You pretend to be innocent, but you enjoy when they come." "No, Grace, Keep quiet," Cynthia barked. "Do you think we don't see the way you walk? Do you think we don't see how men stare at you? Does that make you proud?" Rosemary's voice cracked. "No, I don't want anyone to stare. I try to avoid." "Ah!" Grace clapped her hands mockingly. "Hear this girl, queen of fake humility." Mr. Edward sighed heavily, rubbing his forehead. "Rosemary, from today, stop going for choir practice." Her head shot up. "But Papa, I said what I said." She swallowed her tears. "Yes, sir." And that was the beginning of more suitors, more resentment, more silence, and a deeper loneliness that settled inside Rosemary like a cold stone. 2 months later, the incident that changed everything happened. It was a hot Tuesday afternoon when Rosemary went to the market to buy ingredients for dinner. She wore a long skirt, a loose blouse, and tied her hair tightly back. She looked modest, simple, almost invisible. But beauty does not need permission to exist. At the market, 2 women selling vegetables whispered to each other as Rosemary passed. "That Edward's daughter, see how fine she is." "Fine? That one is a goddess, not a girl." Rosemary heard them and quickened her steps. While buying tomatoes, a group of young men lounging near a corner began to watch her. She didn't look at them, but she felt their eyes crawling on her skin. Her heart raced. "Fine girl. Come nah. Don't pass us like that. See as she fresh." She clutched her bag and walked faster. But one of them, a tall, stocky one, blocked her path. "Sister, relax. We only wanted to greet. Why you day fear?" She stepped backward. I need to go home. Just give us your number." "I can't." The boy smirked. "You think say you too fine? You no fit even smile small." Fear prickled her spine. "I'm sorry." She tried to move around him, and he grabbed her wrist. That was when everything happened at once. The pepper seller shouted, "Leave that girl alone." A gate man from a nearby house rushed forward, yelling. Rosemary pulled her hand free and fled, running until the market was far behind her and her chest ached with sobs she struggled to contain. But as fate would have it, someone from their street had witnessed everything. Someone who made sure the story spread before Rosemary even reached home. Cynthia was waiting at the door. "So you've started embarrassing us outside?" she said coldly. Cynthia, I didn't. Grace came out from the sitting room. I heard you were forming big girl at the market. Men were fighting because of you. Market people were shouting. Do you want to disgrace us? Tears filled Rosemary's eyes. No, I didn't do anything. I only wanted to buy. Enough. Mr. Edwards' voice cut through the air like a blade. Rosemary froze. He stepped closer, his eyes dark with anger he had not yet explained. You will not go to the market again, he said. She nodded weakly. Yes, sir. In fact, he added, you will stop going out unless necessary. Her voice was a whisper. Yes, sir. He hesitated. Then he sighed as if she were a burden. Why can't you just be normal? Her heart cracked. I'm trying, she whispered. But no one heard her. They had already turned away. And that night, Rosemary cried quietly into her pillow, her tears soaking the foam beneath. She cried because she didn't understand why her beauty, something she never asked for, had turned her home into a battlefield. She cried because she loved her family deeply, even when they made it hard. She cried because she was tired, because she was lonely, because she wanted someone, anyone, to see her heart instead of her face. Beauty, when placed in the wrong environment, becomes a burden. Rosemary learned this with each passing day. After the market incident, Mr. Edwards' restrictions tightened. She was no longer allowed to stroll outside in the evenings, no longer allowed to attend choir rehearsals, no longer allowed to run small errands. Even going to church became uncomfortable. She was instructed to sit at the back to avoid distraction. Cynthia and Grace walked around freely. They attended youth programs. They met their friends. They dressed boldly and came home late without much trouble. But Rosemary, soft-spoken, obedient Rosemary, was treated like someone who needed constant policing. Too many eyes follow you, her father muttered one evening when she asked why. She looked at him slowly. Papa, what should I do? Should I hide my face? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. She got the message. From that day, Rosemary wrapped her hair in large scarves. She wore oversized clothes. She walked with her head down. She avoided laughter, avoided eye contact, avoided existence. But even then, her light still slipped through the cracks. People still noticed, and her family still resented her for it. One Wednesday afternoon, a distant aunt arrived, a talkative woman named Auntie Jacinta. She was the kind of relative who carried village gossip in her handbag and always had something to say about someone. The moment she saw Rosemary, she gasped dramatically. Chinique, Edward, is this one your daughter? This beauty is too much now. Mr. Edward stiffened. Good afternoon, Jacinta. Afternoon, my brother, she said, still staring at Rosemary. Ha! God punish the devil. This girl is too fine. Is she the one people are talking about? Cynthia and Grace exchanged glances. Rosemary lowered her eyes. Good afternoon, Ma. Auntie Jacinta cupped Rosemary's chin and lifted her face gently. This one will cost you trouble, Edward. Rosemary's heart sank. Her father's face hardened. And you must be careful, the aunt continued. People like her attract too much attention. Cynthia smirked. Grace folded her arms triumphantly. Mr. Edward sighed heavily. Yes, that is the problem. The aunt clucked her tongue. A motherless child. Her beauty will bring suffering if not controlled. Controlled. As though she were a wild animal. Rosemary quietly slipped away into the kitchen and leaned against the counter, her chest tightening painfully. She didn't want trouble. She didn't want attention. She didn't want to be the reason her family felt inadequate. She just wanted peace. Just peace. 2 weeks later, something happened that Rosemary never forgot. She had just finished washing clothes behind the house when she heard raised voices inside. Cynthia and Grace were arguing with their father in the sitting room. She recognized the sharp, angry tones immediately. Curiosity tugged at her. She moved quietly to the back window and listened. Papa, it's not fair, Cynthia shouted. Everywhere we go, people compare us to her. Grace added bitterly, yes, even in church. One brother had the audacity to ask if Rosemary was single when I was standing right there. Mr. Edward exhaled heavily. Do you think I like it? Do you think I enjoy that kind of attention on her? She is ruining our chances, Grace cried. No man even sees us when she is around. She is too beautiful, Cynthia hissed. And she's pretending. She should leave this house, Grace shouted suddenly. Let her go to the village or stay with Auntie Agnes. Let us have peace. Rosemary's heart slammed painfully against her ribs. She felt the world tilt. Her breath caught in her throat. Papa would never agree, right? But then she heard his voice. Tired, frustrated, defeated. You think I haven't considered it? Rosemary's legs nearly gave out. And what stopped you? Cynthia demanded. She has no one there, he muttered. And she's still young. Then send her somewhere, Grace said. Anywhere, as long as she's not here to overshadow us. Rosemary pressed a hand to her mouth, tears blurring her vision. Her own family wanted to send her away, because of her face, because of a trait she never asked for, because of something she could not change. Mr. Edward spoke again, his voice low. For now, let her stay. But I will talk to her. This situation cannot continue. The decision was made. Not in her presence. Not with her consent. But her life was being arranged like furniture. She slipped away quietly, wiping her tears with trembling fingers. Later that evening, her father called her into his room. She walked in slowly, unable to breathe properly. Sit, he said. She sat. He looked at her long and hard. Rosemary. Do you know you are causing problems in this house? She blinked. Papa, I don't mean to. I'm trying not to. Trying is not enough. Her voice broke. What should I do, sir? He looked at her as if searching for a flaw. Why must men always look at you? She swallowed. I don't know, Papa. I don't talk to them. I don't look at them. I try to cover myself. Is it a curse? He snapped. The words slapped her. She stared at him, stunned. I asked you a question. I don't know, she whispered. He sighed and waved her away. Just stay in your lane. Don't cause more trouble. She stood slowly and walked out of the room, her heart shattering inside her chest. That night, when Cynthia locked the bedroom door behind them, she did not hide her smirk. Maybe if you weren't trying to steal attention, all this wouldn't happen. Grace added, Oversabe fine girl. Rosemary lay on her bed, facing the wall. And when the lights went off, she silently cried again. Before everything became heavy, Rosemary had a dream. She wanted to become a teacher. Even as a child, she admired her teachers. Their calmness, their kindness, their ability to guide children gently. She often imagined herself in front of a chalkboard, writing neatly in white chalk, teaching her students with patience. But life had other plans. After secondary school, Rosemary had begged her father to let her apply for college. Please, Papa, even if it's part-time, I just want to. School for what? He snapped. Do you think money falls from the sky? Papa, I can do small work. He cut her off. Stay here. Help your sisters. Help me. When the right man comes, you will marry. School is not for everyone. She had looked at Cynthia and Grace, hoping for support. None came. Cynthia shrugged coldly. Papa is right. Who will help with the housework if you go? Grace added. Who will control the boys? They will disturb you everywhere if you go to that big school. Just like that, her dream was dismissed, thrown aside, forgotten. Sometimes, late at night, Rosemary would reopen that dream in her heart and stare at it quietly, then close it again. Everything reached a breaking point on a rainy Saturday night. Rosemary had prepared dinner, yam porridge with vegetables. She served everyone, then sat in the corner with her own plate. She always waited until her father and sisters had taken the best portions. Waited until they finished complaining. Waited until peace settled. That night, a conversation began at the table. Cynthia mentioned someone from the neighborhood. That tall young man who sells electronics. He was asking about us, she said proudly. Grace raised her eyebrows. Asking about who exactly? Cynthia smirked. Both of us. Grace laughed. Better be both. I don't like nonsense. Mr. Edward nodded approvingly. Good. At least someone sensible. Then Cynthia added deliberately, he didn't ask about Rosemary. Grace snorted. She should be happy. Her beauty has caused enough trouble already. Mr. Edward sighed. One day we will solve that problem. Then he lowered his voice. I am thinking of sending her to the village. Things are getting out of hand. Rosemary's spoon slipped from her fingers. Her chest tightened painfully. Village? To live where? With who? Do what? She stared at her father, wide-eyed. Papa, please. He didn't look at her. He didn't acknowledge her. Grace shrugged. Let her go. Cynthia nodded. It will help all of us. Something inside Rosemary broke cleanly, like glass. She stood up slowly, excused herself quietly, and went to her room. No one followed her. No one checked on her. No one noticed the way she was shaking. She closed the door behind her and collapsed on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Her tears soaked the cold tiles, her breath shaking violently. She had no one to talk to, no friend, no mother, no comfort, only silence, only the fear of being uprooted from the only home she knew, only the ache of being unwanted by the people she loved the most. She cried until her chest hurt. Then she whispered into the darkness, why did you make me like this? If it will cause pain, why? God, why? Her voice trembled. Her soul trembled. That was the night something inside her changed. Something quiet. Something deep. Because there is only so much a fragile heart can take. After that night, Rosemary changed in ways no one noticed because no one cared enough to look. She moved more quietly. She spoke even softer. She smiled less. She still cooked. Still cleaned. Still woke before everyone else. But something in her eyes dimmed. The light was still there, gentle, fragile, but now covered with a thin veil of sadness. A sadness that had no words. A sadness that lived beneath her breath, beneath her heartbeat, beneath her soft, I'm sorry. Some evenings, she sat on the back veranda and watched the sky when it turned pink and gold. She loved sunsets. Her mother had loved them too. Sometimes she imagined her mother was watching with her, sitting beside her in spirit, brushing her hair gently and whispering, my child, you are enough. But the wind was always silent. Cynthia and Grace continued their normal lives, going out, dressing beautifully, posting pictures on social media, laughing with friends at the gate. And Rosemary continued her invisible existence inside the house. And yet, even in her effort to shrink, the world still saw her. It always did. One afternoon, while Rosemary was hanging clothes outside, a woman from the next compound approached her. Their neighbor, Mama Uju, a warm, motherly woman who sold groceries from her kiosk. Rosemary, my dear, she called softly. Rosemary turned, surprised. Adults rarely addressed her with warmth. Yes, Ma. Good afternoon. Come, Mama Uju said gently. Let me look at you. Rosemary stepped closer, her hands trembling. My child, the woman whispered, watching her face carefully. You are not fine. Rosemary blinked. I'm fine, Ma. I'm okay. You are not, Mama Uju insisted. Your eyes are swollen. You look tired. Has anyone hurt you? Rosemary lowered her gaze. No, Ma. You're lying, the woman said softly. Rosemary's voice cracked. I'm okay, truly. Mama Uju sighed. Beauty should not be a punishment, my dear. You are a good girl. I know. Tears filled Rosemary's eyes instantly. It had been years, since anyone said something kind to her, since anyone called her good, since anyone noticed her struggle. She wiped her tears quickly. Thank you, Ma. Mama Uju squeezed her hand. If you ever need anything, come to me. My door is open. Rosemary nodded shakily. God bless you, she whispered, and for the first time in many months, she felt something warm inside her chest. But kindness is fragile when surrounded by harshness. And soon, The warmth faded as reality returned. One late afternoon, as Rosemary washed plates in the kitchen, she overheard Cynthia and Grace talking in the sitting room. They didn't know she could hear them. Cynthia's voice echoed faintly. "Papa said we should continue monitoring Rosemary closely." Grace scoffed. "That girl irritates me. Every time I see her face I feel somehow. She's too soft, too calm. It annoys me." "You know it's because she's beautiful," Cynthia replied. "People treat her differently. They act like she's one angel." Grace snorted. "Angel core. If she was really an angel, she wouldn't attract men like flies." "She's not doing it intentionally," Cynthia said, sighing. Grace rolled her eyes. "Leave that thing. Whether intentional or not, I'm tired. Everywhere we go, she's the topic. I hate it. I'm not even ashamed to say it. I hate how she looks. I hate the attention she gets. I hate the way people talk about her." Rosemary froze, a plate slipping from her hands into the soapy water. Cynthia added quietly, "Sometimes, I wish she wasn't living with us. Maybe then life will be easier." Grace agreed instantly. "Let her go. Let Papa send her anywhere. I don't care where." Rosemary felt her knees weaken. Her heart squeezed painfully in her chest. They hated her that much? She had always known they were. Annoyed, jealous, maybe resentful. But she never knew they hated her. She never knew her existence hurt them so deeply. She never knew her face, a face she didn't choose, could cause such pain in a household. Quietly, she returned to washing plates, blinking away tears. She didn't want them to hear her crying. She didn't want them to know they had shattered her a little more. She swallowed her pain. Again. One evening, Rosemary was outside folding dried clothes when a familiar voice called her name softly. "Rosemary!" She turned quickly. It was Samuel, the young man from their church, one of the few who had always been polite to her. He stood outside their gate, holding a bag of items from a pharmacy. Her heart raced. She didn't want trouble. She didn't want anyone to see him talking to her. "Good evening," she whispered. Samuel smiled warmly. "Good evening. I saw you and thought to greet. How are you?" "I'm fine," she replied softly. "Thank you." Samuel hesitated, then asked, "You haven't been coming to church. People noticed. Is everything all right?" Rosemary looked down. "I'm not allowed." "Oh," he said gently. "Is it because of the suitors who came?" She nodded slightly. Samuel sighed in sympathy. "Rosemary, it's not your fault. You're not doing anything wrong." Her eyes welled with tears instantly. Before she could speak, the front door flew open behind her. Cynthia stood there, her eyes blazing. "What are you doing here?" she snapped at Samuel. Samuel swallowed. "I was just greeting." "We don't need your greeting," Grace barked, appearing beside her. "Leave." "Wait," he tried to explain, but Cynthia cut him short. "Don't talk to her again. Do you hear? Next time you come here, we will report you to the pastor." Samuel looked at Rosemary, hurt and confused. Rosemary shook her head slightly. "No, it's okay." But her sisters dragged her inside immediately. The door slammed. Cynthia glared at her. "Are you stupid? Do you want to destroy this family completely?" Grace added, "You want to collect all the men in church too?" "I didn't call him," Rosemary whispered. "Oh, shut up," Grace snapped. "Do you think we didn't see how your eyes were shining?" "My eyes weren't." Cynthia slapped the table sharply. "Don't argue. Next time, if any man greets you, just walk away. Don't smile. Don't stop. Don't talk. Don't breathe." Rosemary stood there, trembling. Grace folded her arms. "You think beauty is blessing? For you, it's a curse." Rosemary felt the words slice straight into her heart. And she believed them. Silently, she nodded. "I'm sorry. You should be," Cynthia muttered. And they walked away, leaving her there like discarded cloth. Rosemary leaned against the wall and closed her eyes, her breath shaking. Samuel had been kind. He hadn't done anything wrong. But her sisters treated him like a threat. Like Rosemary was a temptation. Like she was a problem that needed to be contained. Weeks passed. And then came a night that would forever mark her memory. The rain started suddenly, loud and heavy, slamming against the roof in angry sheets. The power cut off almost immediately, plunging the house into darkness. Cynthia and Grace were out visiting a friend. Mr. Edward was asleep in his room. The house was cold and quiet. Rosemary sat alone in the sitting room, hugging her legs to her chest. She wasn't afraid of rain, but she hated how lonely nights felt inside that house. Each thunderclap echoed inside her chest. She closed her eyes. Then she heard it, a soft, broken whisper. At first she thought it came from outside. Then she heard it again. This time she recognized it. Her own voice. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "I wish Mama was here." A sob escaped her throat, raw, shaky, painful. "I wish someone loved me. I wish I wasn't me." Her body shook violently as she cried into her knees. She cried for all the things she couldn't say, for all the wounds she couldn't show, for all the pain she carried quietly like a secret burden. She cried until her head hurt, until her chest ached, until her voice grew hoarse. The rain raged outside, but inside her heart, something else raged too: loneliness, fear, self-blame, hopelessness. She didn't know how long she cried, only that when she finally fell asleep on the cold floor, she whispered one last thing. "I just want to be loved, even once."